One more thing. If the Mavericks land D'Angelo Russell, I think it'll hold them back from winning a title. But I think that's totally fine, and it's a good move. I'll tell you why on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm here because I have to.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
That's it. It's me versus the machine.
Nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
People forget about Flynn.
Hot man, the hot player.
Wait. One more thing.
Yeah.
Fired up.
Welcome. You're still locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins, unless you're Malik Beasley. Today's one more thing, bonus episode of the Locked On Mavs show, where we're going to talk about D'Angelo Russell. Mavs, the overwhelming favorite to land D'Angelo Russell, and I'm going to talk about him. I'm going to talk about some of the positives for sure, because I think it's a solid move for the Mavericks. I don't think it's a good enough move for the Mavericks to win a title. I also want to talk about some other random rumors that have been going on. Some Mavs coaches, Jared Dudley, JJ Barea, not a Mavs coach, but is getting some interest from Denver. Both of them are. The Lakers kind of doing some things. Our old friend Dorian Finney-Smith opted out. And then I also want to talk about Quentin Grimes. If you remember, that was my guy. And we got some news about his new contract, and it made me frustrated about the Mavs trade all over again. So we'll get into that, but let's start here. I am not completely out on D'Angelo Russell saying that it's a terrible move. It would be awful for the Mavericks. That is not what I'm going to say today. What I am going to say is I do think that it would hold them back from winning a title. Because I think that if you're bringing in D'Angelo Russell and that's your one move, I don't know that they're going to make another move. Could they make another trade? Sure, they could surprise me. The Mavs do move in silence. And we've seen this before sometimes to our chagrin, but they move in silence where all of a sudden a trade comes out of nowhere and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't expect them to do that. And then all of a sudden they get somebody. That's been more than just the Anthony Davis-Luka trade. But if you're just going to do D'Angelo Russell, I don't think it's enough to win a title because he has struggled in the playoffs a lot. And you're going to be asking a lot of him. And you're going to be asking a lot of Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis to stay healthy through that whole run and for Kyrie to be 100%. Right off after that ACL and to get back with everybody, to work on the chemistry in the last 2.5 months, 2.5 months, to work on all that chemistry, to get all the way to the point where you're like, all right, we're ready to go. And then go face OKC and that defense and try to make this offense work with an 18-year-old, then going to be 19-year-old Flagg, Kyrie coming off the ACL, D'Angelo also struggled in the playoffs. And then a lot of guys, we were like, okay, what kind of experience do you have in the playoffs? You got Klay Thompson. Okay, great. PJ and Gafford have been to a finals. Lively's been to a finals. You've got some answers to a lot of things. But I think the Mavericks needed to do better at this guard spot if they wanted to win a title. Nico Harrison keeps saying we're in win now mode. Okay, win now mode, but I don't think you're a title contender. And I don't think it's a stretch to say that because you look at what some of these teams have had to put together and you look at the shot creators that these teams have had to go get your own shot. And I think that you have to have high level versions of those with this team. And maybe Anthony Davis can be that. And maybe I'm underrating what he can add to this team. And maybe D'Angelo Russell comes in and he's had great chemistry with Anthony Davis. Maybe that unlocks him a little bit more than I'm expecting and anticipating. But I knew at the time of the Anthony Davis trade, I said this team needs another high level creator. You got to have a pick and roll guy to set up Anthony Davis. And I don't know that D'Angelo Russell is going to do that. He has struggled in the playoffs. He's played 32 games in his career in the playoffs. He shot under 39% from the field. 38.8%. He struggled in Brooklyn. He struggled in LA. He struggled in different scenarios, different rounds. The Lakers benched him at the end of the last playoff run that he was part of. He started, I think, 12 out of the 13 games. And he played a role where he was playing like 30, 37 minutes a game. And he struggled in that spot. So if you're asking a lot of D'Angelo Russell, it's not going to go well for you in the playoffs. It just hasn't, unless this is the one where he breaks out. And I'm saying unless and if a bunch of times in this, because it's just what it is. But if you're expecting to win a title, and Nico Harrison keeps saying over and over, this is a win now team, we're here to win a championship. And yes, everyone's going to say that. But if you're asking all of your shot creation and ball handling out of Kyrie Irving coming back from the ACL and D'Angelo Russell, I don't think you can win a title like that. And add a 19-year-old rookie Cooper Flagg to that too. That's the three players you're tasking with handling the ball, creating offense for you in a playoff run. I just don't think that's good enough. Think about what we just saw from OKC. You had a healthy MVP SGA, right? Think about the finals team that the Mavs had last year. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie was healthy. Luka was not fully healthy, but still, he's Luka. Man, it's just, you're asking a lot of those guys, and I just don't think that that recipe ends up being what the Mavericks want if they want to win a title and be a contender. There'd have to be a lot that went right, and Kyrie would have to come back 100% healthy. D'Lo would have to fit into his right role. The Mavs' new offense would have to work out. They would have to have chemistry right away. Like, there just have to be a lot of ifs, and maybe they can answer those. I would be very okay to be wrong about this. But I do think D'Angelo Russell is a solid move because I did not think that the Mavericks were going to be a title contender this season coming up because there's just too many ifs. To expect Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis to be healthy for 16 playoff wins and to all 4 playoff rounds and all through the season and all that is a lot. You just don't see these older teams make it anymore. Look at the teams we just saw. The youngest team in the league, in the Thunder, the youngest team in the league were getting tired by the end of that. Halliburton had his injury because he broke down. There's just a lot being asked of these teams, and you just don't see these older players make it. And so that's been my skepticism about this team winning a title this season. And D'Angelo Russell, I don't think made me feel a lot better about it. But it did make me feel a lot better about this season. And the season is all about developing around Cooper Flagg and developing chemistry and working within this team right now so that when Kyrie does come back healthy next season fully, Anthony Davis a full season with the Mavericks under his belt, Cooper Flagg in his second year, the Mavs hopefully make another move, got some more picks that they can trade potentially. Then maybe I would feel better about the Mavericks next season if they get another high-level offensive initiator. But this season, I feel good about adding D'Angelo Russell just with the expectations that I have for this team. Because I think he is a solid player. He's only going to be starting for about 50 games, like 3 months, right? Maybe 2.5, depending on when Kyrie comes back. There have been some suggestions that he can come back January or February. January might be a little early for me, but we'll see. I don't know what's going on with him and his leg. I have not looked at it. I've not seen it. Actually, I did see it the other day when I was at the American Airlines Center for the Wings game the other day. He was sitting very far from me, but like right across the court. So I did see him. He is using the leg. I did see him walk on it. But D'Angelo Russell has been solid. He's a solid catch and shoot guy, which is another thing that you want in the guard that you're going to add for the Mavericks. Last year, he shot 28% on catch and shoot threes. That's not good. He had an off year last year. Hopefully that was an aberration for him. But 43% the year before that, 41 the year before that, 34 the year before that, a little bit of a down year, then 39 the year before that, all in like 3 to 4 catch and shoot attempts per game from 3. And you want that because you're going to have the ball in Cooper Flagg's hands, the ball in Anthony Davis's hands, the ball in PJ's hands sometimes, the ball in Max Christie's hands. Like you're going to put the ball in some other people's hands. And you need another shooter. The Mavs shooting is pretty suspect if Klay Thompson goes down with an injury. And so to add D'Angelo Russell to that, I think is solid. It's going to be a solid move. It's not going to answer all the questions, but it's going to be a solid move. The 6 seasons before last season, D'Angelo Russell averaged 19.5 points, 6.5 assists, shot 38% from 3 on 7.5 a game, and played 31.5 minutes a game. Like, that's solid. He's had great chemistry with Anthony Davis as well. Andy Kamenetsky, our host of Locked On Lakers, sent us this. He said, D'Angelo will undoubtedly semi-regularly frustrate fans. That's just a part of the experience you're signing up for. But the highs can be very high, and he and AD have great chemistry. And that's the story on D'Angelo Russell, is that the highs can be really high if it goes well, and he goes back to the 43% on catch and shoot threes from 2024. Great, but the lows could be 28% from 3 like last season on catch and shoot threes. The lows could be bad decision making and playmaking. The highs could be makes a great play. It works really well with Anthony Davis. You see the highs and lows, and this is why the Mavs have the option to get a D'Angelo Russell, because of the difference in those two different kinds of D-lows. That's why he's available for a tax mid-level and not going for what like Ty Jerome's going for right now with like $14 million, the full mid-level. That's wild to me. Coming up, let's get into a couple other rumors here. And I also want to talk about how D'Angelo Russell shapes the Mavs rotation. We'll get into that a little bit more on today's Locked On Mavs. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. Go check out FanDuel, see what's available for you. All kinds of stuff all the time. Rookie of the Year odds for Cooper Flagg, -190. So you got to put down $190 to win 100 on that. Ace Bailey of the Utah Jazz, shout out David Locke, plus 850. That is a huge gap. You put down $100 on Ace Bailey to win Rookie of the Year and he wins, you get $850. Think about that difference. You have to put down more money to win on Cooper Flagg. You put down, it's wild. That's a huge gap right there. Trey Johnson plus 850 as well. Dylan Harper plus 1200. BJ Edgecombe plus 2500. That one is. If Embiid goes down again and Paul George doesn't play, like I could see VJ Edgecombe putting up a lot of numbers because he's going to be playing a lot. Derek Queen plus 3,200. So interesting stuff there for FanDuel. Right now, if you put down your first $5 bet and you feel good about one of those, you can win $150 in bonus bets when that first $5 bet wins. It's FanDuel.com, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Please gamble responsibly. It's one more thing where we count up one more thing today, talking about the Dallas Mavericks. And I was talking about D'Angelo Russell. I've been talking about some of the good that D'Angelo Russell brings, some of the drawbacks I think that are going to come with it, and we'll talk more about it, especially when it becomes official. But I want to talk about how he shapes the rotation a little bit, because I think that it's pretty solid, and I think it is fun to like look at it and to see what the rotation looks like. And so if Jason Kidd is to believed, and sometimes, you know, like I don't have the drop on me, but
I'm not playing.
He's not playing, but sometimes he doesn't tell us the truth. That this is what the rotation would look like. With Kyrie Irving out, you start D'Angelo Russell at the point guard. Your other guard or your guard wing combo is Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Dereck Lively round out your starting five. So it's 6'5" D'Angelo Russell, and then it's 6'8" PJ and Cooper Flagg. It's a 7-foot Anthony Davis, 7-foot Dereck Lively. That's a massive lineup. I've got lots of shooting concerns. I've got lots of playmaking concerns, decision-making concerns. Your decision makers are D'Angelo Russell, an 18-year-old Cooper Flagg, a third-year Dereck Lively, Anthony Davis. Those are your decision makers. But then you have a solid bench. Like the Mavs, no matter who they put in the starting five, is going to be a solid bench. Your bench would be Brandon Williams, Klay Thompson, Caleb Martin, Max Christie in some kind of guard rotation right there. And wing rotation, Najee Marshall and Daniel Gafford in your front court there. And you know that Anthony Davis and PJ Washington and Cooper Flagg will probably be moving into those front court spots at some times too. And that's not even considering Jaden Hardy, Omax, Dwight Powell, the two-way guys, Nembhard and Miles Kelly, and then also Kyrie Irving will eventually come back too. You just see how this rotation does kind of, this is what they needed. They needed a guard. So at least they're adding one, and adding one that has started a bunch of games, that has played in the NBA, that's a competent NBA basketball player. It's really rounded out the rotation. Do I think that this, or even with Kyrie coming back, like even with Kyrie coming back, do I think that this is a playoff NBA champion level rotation? I don't think so. My graphics got messed up. I had one with Kyrie on it. I guess it doesn't matter. But do I think that is an NBA championship team? Unless Cooper Flagg is an all-star or like close to, or like a fringe all-star, which he could be, and has to be really good at creating and has to be ready at a playoff level to create. They just are going to need that really bad. I think they're going to be a good team though. They're going to be very good. They're going to, that team right there is going to win close to 50 games on my money, health considered and all that. But you see how he shakes out the rotation. This is what I wanted to bring up. I think that the starting five should be D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Dereck Lively. You bring PJ Washington off the bench, Marshall off the bench, Caleb Martin, Brandon Williams. I think it's a little bit more even. Add some more shooting in that front line, in that starting five. Because Anthony Davis he's not like a plus shooter. So you're already like limiting yourself a little bit there when it comes to spacing. So that's what I would do. But a couple other rumors. All right, I'm just gonna skip to the one that I want to talk about. Grimes. So Mark Stein and his Steinline Report Substack, have to subscribe to it. It's a must for all Mavs fans and every NBA fan, really. He said the early rumbles out of Philadelphia of Quentin Grimes' expected new deal. The restricted free agent is expected to land a starting salary of at least $16 million after his monster March. And Quentin Grimes was excellent in March. If you remember, Quentin Grimes was on the Dallas Mavericks. I was a big fan of his. I was very excited to see his development. He's 25 years old. And he had an incredible March where he just dominated. And he was putting up huge numbers, and you were just like, what is going on? How is this guy going off? Well, I'm just going to say I saw it coming. Maybe not that, but he was absolutely dynamic. Multiple 30-point games. He had the 46-point game in the overtime loss to the Rockets. He's had some incredible moments down the stretch. And it was March basketball, so maybe you're like, all right, let's take it with a grain of salt. But the Mavericks got rid of him because they didn't think they could sign him to that deal. And they got Caleb Martin for a longer term deal for what they thought was going to be less money. And the Mavs also gave up the 35th pick in this draft that we just saw. I assume they were thinking Quentin Grimes was going to get 20 million, 25 million, something crazy like that. That somebody was going to bet on his talent and bet for him to be better than he was before. But 16 million? Let me do the math real quick. 16 million. Caleb Martin's going to be making 9 million. With the deal Kyrie Irving took, Mavs could have kept him. Mavs could have kept him. Unless my math is wrong, unless there's some kind of other salary thing that I'm missing, the Mavs could have kept Quentin Grimes. And would you rather have D'Angelo Russell and Caleb Martin, or would you rather have Quentin Grimes and the 35th pick? I feel like those are your options. And I think I would have rather had Quentin Grimes in that spot. I think I would have rather had Quentin Grimes. And I know that he was my guy, and I know that was a guy I was really high on, but I started going back. You could keep doing the what ifs on that, though, and you could go all the way back to, well, if Quentin Grimes is on the Mavs at the end of the season, maybe they win more games. Maybe they don't get Cooper Flagg. Okay. Maybe if the Mavs have to keep that 35th pick, they have to figure out something else with the salary cap, because that may send them over the top. But the guys that were picked around 35, you had the guy that got picked at 35 for the Sixers, Janai Broom from Auburn. Abdou Thiero, the Lakers took him right after. Chaz Lanier, the guard Cam Jones, a lot of people really liked at 38. And then the one that a lot of Mavs fans wanted, Tyrese Proctor from Duke, he went 49. So you could have got another guard there. But I wanted to bring that up because it did seem like another miss on a trade where the Mavs tried to get out in front of something they didn't need to get out in front of, because you just let it play out. Let it play out and see how it works. Maybe they lose him for nothing. Maybe you don't have Caleb Martin, but Caleb Martin didn't play a lot at the end of last season, and I don't know what they're getting out of Caleb Martin right now. Hopefully he'll be a great defender for him. Hopefully his shot will come back in a big way. But I have questions. I had less questions about Quentin Grimes, and I would have rather bet on the talent and tried to see if that was going to work, because he is a much better on-ball creator. I would feel better about him defensively, definitely, than a D'Angelo Russell coming in. And I would feel better about having a younger guy, a 25-year-old, to match with Max Christie and Cooper Flagg and Lively, and to have some more youth there. That's my thoughts on that. That's my thoughts on D'Angelo Russell. We'll have more Isaac out with another show a little bit later on Sunday night if you're listening to this. So we'll be watching all the rumors, all kinds of stuff. LeBron and the Lakers and D'Angelo Russell, there's some things happening over there. So we'll talk about that probably tonight. But guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. One more thing. Peace out.
Peace out.